Okay, good morning. So good to see everyone. This should really be the theme song of Embodied. I remember when I first heard this song, I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what Embodied is all about. It's literally where, I heard this quote from, I have to remember the exact name. I know his first name was Matt. I don't remember his last name, a famous speaker who said that we think we're living a we think we're physical beings living a spiritual experience. We're actually spiritual beings living a physical experience. This life, this world is we're in this body, but we're really so much more than that. We're a soul, literally, and we're embodied. We're coming into this experience to feel what it's like to live in a body, to live in a physical realm, and to really experience that. So, why not make the most of it and really be in our body, really see what this body has to offer us to enhance, to increase our experience in life? And that's really the essence of what embodied is, especially as women. We come into our feminine bodies, into our body as women. Women are especially have this embodied experience of this world because we are internal and we move through the world in a way of seeing the world from the inside, right? We're from the inside out. The masculine, on the other hand, is more from the outside. Like, okay, so going after something versus a feminine attracts. We're going to talk about this a lot more. There's so much we're going to discuss here today. I'm like diving straight into the deep stuff. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Embodied Info Session, intro call, whatever you want to call it, because there's so much I want to share about Embodied that just doesn't cut it in an email or in a post, or like there's so much here that we have to talk about. And if you ever want to learn about the fertility awareness method, about your cycle, about living embodied as a woman, you're going to learn so much from this call alone. So just stay here and listen to whatever comes out of my mouth there, because I don't even know. Like I just literally before the call, I'm like, Hashem, just put the right words in my mouth, let it flow, let it come, because whatever you need to hear today should be what you hear today. So let's get started. So what is what is the embodied course in a nutshell? And then we'll go into the fertility awareness method and the cycle tracking and all that stuff and come to your questions as well. Basically, the flow of today will be I'll tell you what the essence of embodied is, the soul of embodied, what we really teach here. Then I'll tell you a little bit about the structure of how it's designed to help you really get the most optimal experience. And then we'll go to your questions and get to what you want to know more about. So, how embodied came to be and what it really is. So I used to put it out there as a fertility awareness course. I mean, that is the foundation of it, right? We start with that. But two things. First of all, it's so much more than that, obviously. But also, even if your goal is purely, I just want to learn the method, I want to track my cycle. And if you never heard about FAM, I'm going to explain what it is. Don't worry. Like, if you heard about FAM or you know about FAM and you're already tracking your cycle, you're going to gain a lot from this. And if you never heard about FAM and you're just curious what it is, you're going to gain a lot from this too. It's for everyone. So, yeah, if your goal is to track your cycle for, let's say, a specific outcome, whether it's as a natural form of birth control, which it can be very effective without hormonal side effects and things like that, whether it's to get pregnant naturally, right? Sometimes if that's not happening in the right timing or there's like things getting in the way, different obstacles, this can help you come down to what's actually going on. Whether you have different hormonal imbalances, irregular cycles, PCOS, PMS, different hormonal symptoms, this can help you as well. And let's say those are the outcomes you're looking for. You just want to track your cycle. Just give me the basic facts. I don't need spiritual fluff. I just want facts, right? And actually, it's going to feel a lot more pressuring that way. Just to have step one, step two, step three, and memorize everything and remember everything and think of it just from the masculine approach of in my head. I just need to remember everything. Versus if you come at it from the embodied way, it becomes integrated. This really is designed to take information that you don't have to do. Like we're not learning like we did in school, where you have to memorize for a test and just spit back facts and then you're good to go. No, you're learning this because you want it for life. You want to integrate this. You want to have this as a daily rhythm, as a daily support in your life, because your cycle is here to support you. Your cycle wants to be your partner, your friend, not your enemy. Your body doesn't want to be against you. So we shouldn't be against our bodies. We want to live with our bodies, not against it. But what often happens is, okay, so men and women are designed differently. Men are like the sun, women are like the moon. Men also have hormones, right? We think hormones are just women. Men also have hormones, but the male hormonal rhythm is like the sun. It goes in a 24-hour cycle, the 24-hour rhythm. So they basically feel the same every day from a hormonal perspective, right? Throughout the day, they can feel different. In the morning, they might feel more energized. At night, they might feel more tired, right? Like, and we obviously also have that circadian. It's called the circadian rhythm. We also have that because we wake up every day, we go to sleep at night. It's just we have that cycle as well. But women also have an additional cycle that goes according to the moon, right? And we follow a monthly rhythm. Whether or not your cycle actually follows an exact month, right? So many women today, and we'll talk about that, are not in that rhythm of a perfect monthly cycle. And we'll talk about what perfect even means. It's a myth, right? There's no such thing as everyone has to have a 28-day cycle. That is just a textbook number that someone randomly decided. But there's a normal range, right? And so many women are not in that range for different reasons. There are environmental things happening in our world today, things that are messing our cycles up. We'll talk about that. But in the general, man, woman, right? The different rhythms we move through. The male rhythm is a 24-hour cycle. The female rhythm is a monthly cycle. And when we start acknowledging that and just simply honoring that, like just a simple permission to be a woman and to move through a cyclical rhythm can already bring you so much more compassion in your life, permission in your life to just be in your flow, right? The expectation of we're not the same every day and we're not meant to be. If you wake up one day and you're like, I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know why I don't have energy. I need to accomplish so much. And like if I don't accomplish the same as I accomplished last week, then I'm a failure. And you're measuring yourself according to an expectation of when you were in a whole different place hormonally, where your hormones were actually supporting more productivity. Your hormones were actually supporting you in a different way. And now your hormones are asking for something completely different. And when we honor that, we allow ourselves to flow with it. First of all, actually, the times of the month where we are more in that outward state, in that productive state, if you will, actually is even more productive. If you're going from that place of we should be the most productive, okay, fine. That actually works even better. But also give yourself the grace, right? Give yourself the grace to flow with your rhythm. There are times of more creativity, more outwardness, and there are times of more rest and more inwardness. And we flow with that, right? There's this myth that, oh, I'm an extrovert or I'm an introvert. Actually, most of us have a combination of both. Maybe some people are more extroverted, more introverted, but we have times in the cycle. And if you never connected it to your cycle, it could feel random, like, okay, sometimes I'm in the mood, sometimes I'm not. But start noticing, wait, I'm not in the mood of, going to a wedding right now. But 2 weeks ago, I actually had some fun there, or actually would have actually enjoyed that, whatever it is, right? Nothing is wrong with you. Where are you in your cycle? What is that telling you, right? And I think we're so used to looking at our cycle as annoying, as something that's just holding us back in life, something that's just like we just want to push through it and get out of the way, ignore it, like pretend it doesn't exist. And really, our cycle just wants to support us because we're not meant to show up the same every day. We don't want to burn out. We want to live our most optimal, thriving life. And there's that ebb and flow that really supports that. We have the gift of renewal, of newness. That's the moon's gift. That's the woman's gift. The feminine gift is renewal, right? The sun doesn't have that, right? There's nothing new under the sun, right? But the moon is renewed every month. We have a new opportunity, a new cycle. We get to be reborn and new every single month. The Chodesh is a woman's gift because we embody this. We embody this newness. We embody this like a new cycle, new possibility, new horizons, right? Come with this curiosity. What will this month bring me? What will this cycle bring me, right? And there's so much there that we get to tap into right in our body. We don't have to go far to find anything. We don't have to seek anything out on the outside. It's about coming inside, coming internally, what is already here, the gifts that are already in your body, in your cells. Something that, and I've said this if you were in the Pulse of Womanhood that we did last week, I shared some of these concepts as well. But something that I teach in Embodied when we go through the actual, so we start with actually getting to know your body, right? And this is not basic, this is not just technical anatomy and physiology that you learn in biology class. It's not like that at all. It's, first of all, yes, you learn all the facts, you learn everything that you might have missed, the things that you might have skipped or not understood properly or not learned well. But more than the facts, it's the way we come at it. So very often when people learn about their bodies, it can come in two ways. Either they learn it from like a very clinical scientific approach, right? Like a diagram, like this is what, let's say this is what the uterus looks like, this is what the reproductive system looks like, this is what happens. And it's very disembodied. It's just on the diagram, it's just in the textbook, it's It's not me, right? Like we don't connect to it in that way. I mean, we know, intellectually we know, but like it's not an embodied perspective. Or sometimes we approach it or we hear about it or we learn about it in a very shameful way, like taboo, hushed, we don't talk about this. And there's literally this part of your body that you're just not allowed to acknowledge because we just don't talk about it. And of course, there's a way, right? These are obviously sensitive topics. We can talk about it respectfully, acknowledge the sacredness of it, right? But to just push it under the rug is shutting down a part of you and shutting down a very important part of you. This is literally the essence of your womanhood. And we're shutting it down. We're shutting down our femininity, which is the key to our thriving, the key to how we move in the world as women. We're shutting down so much. So when I teach this part, and we start with this, we start with getting to know our bodies because that comes before any method or any tracking, cervical fluid or temperature. Like the technical stuff can only come once we have the foundation to hold it, right? We need the container to hold it, to be able to become to again, we don't want to have just technical things to remember. We want to be able to integrate it. We want to be able to move in this aligned way that it just flows. It becomes second nature, right? When you like any habits that you build, right? Let's say brushing your teeth every morning. You have to think about it. It's second nature, right? You just do it. That's literally how this method becomes, but it becomes more connecting. It becomes like, wow, these 2, 3 minutes a day, I actually get to connect to my cycle. I get to connect to my body. And that becomes very powerful. If you just, try this exercise with me for a minute. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths together and feel how you feel different in your body, just being present with your breath, just being present with your body, what changes for you. Okay, so first now, maybe you're connected to your body, maybe you're not, maybe you feel these 20s, maybe not. Close your eyes for a minute and we'll take 3 deep breaths together and then we're going to see what shifted. 1, 2, and one last one. Okay, so feel what changed for you. Just taking those breaths, which again connects another way that connects you to your body. Like, oh, the air is coming into my lungs. It's filling me up. It's giving me something. I'm releasing with the out breath, with the exhale. Just that awareness, just those 3 breaths. If you do that, even 3 times a day, 3 conscious breaths in a row, you'll become more embodied, right? You'll connect more to your body. That will absolutely change something for you. And the same happens in a different way, but similarly, when we connect to our cycle, if I'm just checking my cervical fluid, it sounds so technical, right? And we'll go through, we teach you everything so clearly. You come out of this knowing so well what you're actually going to do and like so not complicated. And I'll share with you how this works and how it becomes so not complicated. Because so often people learn this method in different places and they feel so confused, so overwhelmed. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. I don't feel confident at all. And I'll tell you how this is different. But let's say just this daily check-in, let's say 3 times a day, checking your cervical fluid, you're in touch with your body. You're in touch with your fluid. You're in touch with your femininity. You're in touch with your fertility. You know how powerful that is? You know how powerful your fertility and femininity and sexuality really is when it's contained in the right way, when it's contained in a way that you're present with it, that you really can honor and appreciate it, right? Because so often we approach these topics, like I said before, in a shameful way, in a way that this is not, it's not something that we want to ever talk about or be with. Like, just go on with life. Just go on with life. You have a cycle, you're good, great. You can get pregnant, you're fertile, amazing. You know that, Baruch Hashem, now keep going. But you're losing out, you're missing out so much of what this really has to offer you. So what shifted for me when I first realized this, I think that was when it clicked for me. So you see, like you've probably seen this from me already, and you'll see a lot of this from me is I can't for me, I can't separate the cycle, the physical parts of it, how this works from our spiritual essence as women, our connection to Hashem. Like that was just my journey for me. Like I connected very deeply through my cycle. It was much more powerful than like I said, women are internal, right? Any external outside ways. And again, both exist for a reason. There are ways to connect to Hashem and from outside sources, right? From davening, from Torah, from learning from our parents, from our teachers, from all those different places. And then there's the internal connection of really feeling Hashem in your body, really feeling your soul embodied, literally, right? And it happened through my cycle, through connecting very deeply to this place. And before this, what I realized was, how did I get there? Because I realized that, again, this has happened before. We're all on a journey in this life, trying to find, clarity, connection, connecting to Hashem in our own way. And I was coming into more of a loving connection to Hashem. Like, okay, like he's actually a loving God. He's not here to punish us. He loves us. He wants us to connect and be our best selves, to be our most thriving selves. Like, I came to that conclusion. Okay, wherever you are in your process, if you are there, if you're not, that's where it came to. And I realized I was struggling a lot with my cycle. I had a very strong PMS, premenstrual syndrome, mood swings. Every time a week before my period, I would get like really, really intense, like just feeling like the world is crashing. Like it's over. Like I can't function. I like just get me out of here. The rug is being pulled beneath my feet. And it's funny, like I'm talking about it now, and I feel like I'm not even so, because this was so long ago, even though I can remember it and understand the experience, I'm also like, I feel far away from that because Baruch Hashem, over the years doing this work, came to a whole different place with my cycle. And the premenstrual phase was actually the entry point for me to connect in a whole new way. Because, I mean, the reality of life is that your biggest triggers, your biggest pain points are your biggest teachers and your portal to tremendous transformation. And the premenstrual phase was really what got me into this. And right now, it's like the most amazing. I mean, all phases of the cycle are amazing to me because, like I was sharing this in the post of Womanhood as well. Like, when you go, like the seasons on the outside reflect the seasons on the inside. So winter, spring, summer, fall reflect menstruation, the follicular phase, which is the time between menstruation and ovulation. Summer is ovulation, and fall is the luteal phase, the premenstrual phase. And I used to hate the fall. I used to really like not enjoy it, not like it. It just really brought me down. And the more I regulated and balanced my inner seasons, I really have this almost equal appreciation. Again, there are some that I enjoy more, but the appreciation of every season and what it has to offer. So that's why, like, I can't say the premenstrual phase is my favorite, but it's just because there was such deep work there for me that I moved through. It holds a lot of meaning for me, and it's like I can really appreciate it every time. Like, wow, there's so much here for me. So going back to, yes, I was struggling with my cycle, and it really came to a point where I'm like, I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't want to be like a victim to my hormones. There has to be a better way. And even that question, like everything was so led and like something was opening in me, obviously, right? And there has to be a different way. But I didn't know any other way. Nobody talks about any other way. Now it's a little bit more open, maybe because of, like I've been sharing this for 5 years. Women are opening to this more. But before that, nobody was talking about this. Like, where was I supposed to? Why would I even think there's a different way? Like, our cycles are just like something that we put up with, that is annoying, that is painful, that is Chava's curse, and you just live with it. It's part of being a woman, and I wasn't accepting that anymore. And the part that I wasn't accepting was that this loving Hashem that I've come to know created me, created all of me, and I couldn't accept anymore that He created a part of me that I need to be ashamed of, that I need to hide and not gain something from, because every part of me was created for a reason, and not just for a reason of like, I mean, it's not just, I'm not minimizing it, right? The reason of procreation, having children, obviously it's a big one, but also I feel like so many women feel objectified by that. Like, oh, my whole purpose, my only reason is just to have children, and other than that, like, what is womanhood? And there's so much more there. Actually, fertility and conceiving is meant to be an outgrowth, like an outcome of this full thriving of womanhood, of your cup being so full of what the feminine is really here to provide for you, to nurture you, to bring you life on the inside, that it flows over and creates new life. That's the ideal way, right? That's the ideal way of opening to conceive, opening to new life. I like that term, opening to conceive, better than trying to conceive, because trying has more of that masculine forcing, pushing approach. Opening to conceive is that receiving, right? That opening, that like I'm moving into alignment with this. So that's really like one thing led to another. I just couldn't accept it anymore. There had to be another way, right? And maybe you're at that point where you're like, I can't live this way anymore. I can't have all these symptoms on birth control or have this with my cycle, all these symptoms, whatever symptoms if you're having symptoms with, acne or PMS, mood swings, irregular cycles, feeling very confused by your hormones, feeling victimized by your hormones. Like I just don't like this part of my life, right? You deserve to have a better relationship with your cycle. You deserve to have a better relationship with your body, with your womanhood, because it's really here to offer you so much. And we're losing out. We're missing out by not having this. So that's why I'm so passionate about bringing this knowledge to more women because like why not? Why shouldn't you have this like treasure vault, this treasure trove of information and knowledge and wisdom that lives right inside of you, that is right here in your body and we get to access it. So that's really the long road that led here. That was like the first seed that was planted. So let's get into how Embodied was created and what it really is here to offer. Because it is more of I would say it's a deeper course, but not in a way that has to be overwhelming or um, like I think some women are scared off of the commitment, right? Like it's a 3 month course, and do I have to be ready to track my cycle? And I don't know, right? Like going back and forth with that. And it's a good thing because this course is not for everyone, right? You want to choose this. You want to feel the resonance, feel the alignment, know this is right for you. And it's not, I really don't believe in like the difference of masculine and feminine approach. So this is really strange. I only started hearing this more and more from my students more lately, how much this is happening for everyone. And I love it so much because believe it or not, it sounds very strange, but many people approach FAM, and I think I'll get to now what the fertility awareness method actually is. But many people approach FAM from a masculine point of view. I know it sounds like a contradiction, like fertility awareness, tracking your cycle, the most feminine part of your body, coming at it from a masculine perspective. And I'll explain what that means. So the masculine approach is very focused and driven and get from point A, get to point B, very linear, right? Like we're here for the outcome, we're here for the results. Just do the thing, right? And the feminine is more like filling in the process from the inside out, like actually how we approach it, how fulfilled we feel as we do it. Are we just doing a process just to get from A to point B, or are we feeling fulfilled and alive and thriving through that process? And we're actually getting there because of everything we move through. I say this a lot with Sphere, counting the Omer, right? We're arriving to receiving the Torah, but is it about the end result or was it the whole process that we moved through in those 49 days? And this is the same thing that happens with counting towards mikvah. What happens in those 7 days? Is it just about the end result, like getting there? Or is the getting there an outcome of the cyclical process we move through menstruation, through the separation, through the coming back inside of ourselves, the rising energy inside of ourselves, the counting, the intention, the waiting as we talk about this a lot in Secrets of Nida and Redemptress and Embodied also. Embodied, we talk a lot about Taras Mishpach and how this is connected because it's all connected when we are embodied. A big struggle I find that women have with Taras HaMishpacha is that it's actually designed to bring us into our bodies more. And so many women today are disembodied, disconnected. And we're coming from that place. Of course it's a struggle. Of course it's hard because there's like this conflict of like, I don't want to be my body. You're telling me to be my body. I don't like this, right? Versus when we actually are aligned with the design of our own rhythm, of our own flow, of our own cycle, and we come to that place, it's a whole different experience. That's how it was for me as well. I used to struggle with Taras HaMishpacha. It was very technical, very like, okay, I just have to do this. I understand why. Same thing with our cycle. It's just like something we have to put up with. And once I started tracking my cycle with fertility awareness method, which I keep saying we'll get to, I'm going to explain what that is. But when I started tracking my cycle, the embodiment, the presence, the alignment with what my cycle is actually meant to be, what our feminine experience is actually meant to be. Suddenly, the Har HaMishpacha was completely different. It was connecting. It was present. And each phase, no matter where I was at, every phase has a gift. Every phase has something to offer, whether it's within myself, whether it's within the relationship, right? There's the balance of the individual, especially in a marriage. You want to have the balance of individualization, of cultivating yourself and cultivating the relationship. So this gives a beautiful balance of both. But that's actually what the cycle is meant to do. With like even putting Taras Mishpach on the side, the phases of the cycle, when you're at menstruation, you are in a more inward place. you are in a place of more self-reflection, being with yourself, and instead we have all the ads of, all the period product ads putting out there. You can just hustle through and run a marathon and play tennis and do whatever on your period. Amazing. Yes, we can do anything bleeding, but why should we? Why should we put ourselves through that hustling, that exerting ourselves, overexerting ourselves when we just want some gentleness and we deserve that gentleness? This is really our body giving us the ultimate process of self-care, right? We don't have to figure out self-care. We just have to be present with our body. What is our body asking for now? Is it asking for more rest, more slowing down? Is it asking for more, go out there, work out a little, move your body, do, right? Like your body is always going to communicate with you. Your body is communicating with you every day. The question is, do we understand the language? Do we know what she's saying? Right? And the fertility awareness method is a beautiful, beautiful way of understanding the language of our body, of hearing what our hormones are actually speaking to us every single day, where we are in our cycle, what we need right now, what is happening in our cycle, because our cycle is also a reflection, it's a mirror of all areas of our life. If we're feeling super stressed, if we're going through a hard time in life, your cycle might reflect that. And it's actually a beautiful show of presence of like, I've had this where I would have a really painful period. And through this work, I'm telling you, the PMS disappeared, painful periods disappeared because when you're present and you're aligned with what your body's here to offer you, periods are not supposed to be painful. They're really not supposed to be painful. It's something that's just put out there like, okay, this is normal, this is normal, this is what it means to be a woman. No, periods are not meant to be painful. You're not meant to go crazy every month. You're not meant to have like all these symptoms, acne, bloating, all these things. They're signs from your body. Your body is telling you something. Your body is asking for some kind of alignment. And it's also expressing things that might be going on in your life. So when I've had times when I was going through very hard times in my life, I felt the period pain again through that cycle. Like all of a sudden I had a very painful period and like a very intense premenstrual phase as well again. And I was able to, because of my process with my cycles, and because it's a relationship that we keep building and deepening, so you get to this place where you're really able to see what your cycle is telling you. I actually felt very held. Like, wow, my cycle gets me. My cycle feels the pain with me, right? Like it's here with me in this pain. Like literally, like I'm here with you. You literally have this embodied experience of being held. And this is why I was telling you, like it's literally an embodied connection to Hashem, because what's really the source of all life, the source of all this life energy flowing through your hormones, flowing through your cycle, flowing through your womb, right? It's directly from Hashem, obviously, but it's internal. It's internalized. You're feeling it in your body, which is so, so powerful. So, what is the fertility awareness method exactly? And who is it for? How do you know if you're the right fit? How do you know that you're ready for this? And if this is going to be the right approach for you? So, the fertility awareness method, and again, the word fertility is very misleading here because we think of fertility as trying to get pregnant, which is one aspect of it. Fertility is the potential for pregnancy, and it's something that we move through in a healthy cycle. We move through that every month because ovulation, when you ovulate, ovulation is fertility. Ovulation is the potential to get pregnant. You have an egg that's released, that egg can be fertilized and create a new baby. That's the basics of how it works. Now, a few things are happening. First of all, ovulation is so much more than the potential to get pregnant. Ovulation is literally the fifth vital sign. It's considered a health sign from your body. When you ovulate regularly, it tells you that you're functioning. Why? Because back in the day, when there was, let's say, a famine or not enough resources to go around in the community, or people were traveling, and in those days it was dangerous to travel. So whenever like life was like at risk or not stable and steady, the women's cycles would shut down because, and it was a wise design of the body because you need to be sustained first. You need to have the resources, and only then can you get further and create new life, right? What's the point of, if there's no food to go around this community, what's the point of bringing in more life when there won't be enough to sustain everybody? So that was the primal design of the cycle, that when you have a healthy cycle, it shows you that your systems are functioning, that you have the energy, you have the capacity, you are like everything else is in order basically, right? And this can show up on different levels. But very often when our cycle is a little wonky, or let's say you have 50-day cycles, right? What is it showing? It's obviously telling you something. And again, everyone has their own process around what it might be showing you. And the first step is always awareness and embodiment. Come into this relationship with your cycle. Be curious and open, and show your cycle that you want to communicate with them. You want to understand what it's telling you. And it starts with this embodied fertility awareness practice of checking in with your cycle every day. Where am I today? Which phase am I in? Am I fertile? Am I not? Did I ovulate? Did I not? Will I get my period soon? And you know where you are in your cycle. You can ask someone who's tracking with FAM, you can ask them on any random day, which day of the cycle are you on? Day 27, day 16, day 14, day 12, whatever it is, right? Most of us otherwise wouldn't probably know unless you take out a calendar and count when you had your last period and like add it up. But because you're in this daily rhythm, this daily tracking, you're present because your cycle is not just about your period. Your cycle is a daily rhythm you move through every single day, and every day has something new to offer you, has a different experience to offer you, a different way of thriving, of being. If we're just reducing our cycle to our period, then of course we'll have a negative association with our cycle because, I mean, if we have a negative association with our period, but that's everything our cycle means to us. When there's really so much more. There's so much more that our cycle is really here to offer us. And ovulation is actually the focal point of our cycle. That's actually the key. That's actually what we're building up to. So it's not only for the ability to get pregnant, it actually is your key to thriving. It actually is a sign that we're well and healthy. It actually is supporting your bones, your brain, your heart. Like estrogen, the hormone that helps us ovulate, is like there's been research done on this that they literally are also building the support in the bones and the brain and the heart, like all the different functions in our body. There are older women who suffer from osteoporosis, which is a disease that the bone is breaking down, that it's not strong enough. And when we have healthy cycles, we're literally putting deposits into our future health accounts of this is building our health, this is building our future, because we're building our bone density, we're building our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, our cardiac, our heart health, like everything. It supports everything. And it's not just about, you can't isolate these hormones for just your cycle, which is why hormonal birth control can affect the body in so many different ways, because we think we're just isolating the hormones of the cycle. We're shutting down hormonal birth control. Most versions of them shut down ovulation. So what's happening? You're not just shutting down the ability to get pregnant, which is the point of the drug. You're also shutting down so many of the health benefits of ovulation, right? And there can be so many different effects to your health, the bones, the heart, the brain, your moods, right? Your overall health, like, and not just your health now, but also in the future. There's so much that our hormones are supporting, and our hormones want us to thrive. Our hormones is literally our life energy. It's our life energy. It's not just the potential for new life, it's the life energy building inside of us. Literally, if you track your natural cycle, you feel that ebb and flow. You feel that rising as you move towards ovulation, you feel the drop after ovulation, but you feel that aliveness when you're at ovulation. Like it's an energetic reality that we go through. And yeah, the reality is that those drugs do shut it down. So again, I'm not one to bash birth control at all, right? There's a time and place for everything. I believe everything is here for a reason. And if you are someone who's been struggling and having a lot of different side effects, and you're so done with it, you're like, I just want to be myself and live myself and understand my own body, then yeah, absolutely, this will be for you. And I'll tell you how the fertility awareness method works as a natural form of birth control. If you're still in a place where you need to prevent pregnancy, you're like, I don't know, I'm scared to come on birth control because is this effective? Will this help me? So it is very effective. It's actually comparable to most conventional forms of birth control. It can be up to 99.6% effective. The only difference is that, and this is where people feel a lot of pressure, but it's all on them. When it comes to a user-dependent method of birth control, it's your responsibility, right? So you are taking responsibility for your life here, for your health, for your birth control, for your fertility. And that's why it's reclaiming, right? You're taking, there's literally a book on the fertility awareness method called Taking Charge of Your Fertility. So you're taking charge. But I have a different approach on that. So I mentioned that book, and in general, out there in the world, when you learn fertility awareness, there are many different approaches to this. So often people come at this from a place of, I'm going to control my cycle. I'm going to know everything. I'm going to know exactly what's going on. And you do get so much information. You get so much knowledge of what's going on in your body. You can know exactly when your period will come. So for those of you who have irregular cycles, long cycles, PCOS, and you just go crazy every month, like, I don't know when my period will come, and it just catches me by surprise. That doesn't happen on tracking your cycle with FAM, with fertility awareness method. Once you learn how to do it correctly and you track your cycle, you know when your period will come. Why? Because the cycle is less about how many days it is and more about how much time is after ovulation until your next period. And usually that is more constant. So you might have a 50-day cycle or a 27-day cycle or a 24-day cycle, whatever it is. And it really all depends when you ovulated. So maybe you ovulated on day 11, so you'll have a shorter cycle. Maybe you ovulated on day 25. I don't know, right? That's a little bit of a late ovulation, but that happens a lot. And then you have your period is not likely not going to come on day 30 if you ovulate on day 25, because it usually takes about 2 weeks. So if you ovulate on day 25, you'll have a 45-day cycle, right? So these longer cycles are not that your period is late, it's that ovulation was late. And when you track ovulation and you know exactly what's going on, that is going to help you know, oh, I ovulated. I can expect my period around then. It's not about the days on the calendar. It's about your cycle, your rhythm, your unique flow. Can this work postpartum? Yes. Okay, so this is where I was getting at with irregular cycles or longer cycles if you're not in the 30-day monthly rhythm, whatever it is. Yes, because we're not tracking according to a cycle. We're having awareness of where we are in the cycle, but we're tracking a daily rhythm. What is happening in your body every single day that shows you where you're at? Because a chart, a calendar, a outside thing cannot tell you what's going on in your body. Only you can track what's going on in your body, right? So there's two parts to this. There's the cycle of, okay, this is my follicular phase. I'm gearing up to ovulation. After my period, gearing up to ovulation. Here's where I ovulated. This is my fertile window. And then I have my luteal phase, my premenstrual phase, and I can predict when my period will come. Then there's the element of the day-to-day rhythm. What is happening today? Forget about a cycle. Today, am I fertile? Am I not? And when you track with fertility awareness correctly, you should be able to answer that question confidently every single day. Am I fertile today? Am I not? Regardless if you have a regular cycle, an irregular cycle, or you're postpartum and don't have cycles at all. You will know if you're fertile or if you're not. Now, the way it works postpartum is that you have, uh, we consider it like one long follicular phase, call it, meaning like your postpartum bleed is like your period. You start your cycle after, you track, and that is and you're tracking with the same, again, there's special rules for postpartum. We have an entire module in the Embodied course devoted to postpartum tracking. But you're first going to take the other modules because it's based on the same foundation of tracking, of learning how to track your cervic fluid, learning how to take your temperature. And temperature is actually optional in postpartum before you get your cycle back. You don't have to start with temperature right away because cervic fluid is going to be the main key sign of tracking postpartum. So the postpartum module is later on in the course, but first you're learning the same foundations as everyone else, getting to know your body, learning cervical fluid, learning temperature, learning how to put it all on a chart. And then we'll do the specific rules for postpartum, but you'll see it makes it a little bit easier as well. Yeah, postpartum without a cycle, we don't have ovulation. Is that similar to a long luteal phase emotionally? I wouldn't say luteal phase because luteal phase is after ovulation, right? It's different. You have different hormones completely when you're postpartum. Your rhythm of hormones is more about the prolactin and the oxytocin, right, that are involved with nursing, and the regular cycle hormones, the estrogen, the follicle stimulating hormones, FSH, are shut down. They're being told, wait, be on hold here. We have one baby that we're nurturing here. We're not ready for the next one yet. So just put on hold. Now, we know it doesn't always work that way because, again, like we said before, our environment these days are really affecting our hormones in different ways. That's why women are not having, it used to be women had very regular cycles. Now we don't see that as much. And with nursing also, right? It really can affect our hormones in different ways. So the fertility awareness method is less about predicting what your hormones will do. It's more about being with the present moment, right? Being with the present moment of what is right now, knowing very clearly, now I am fertile, now I am not, and what you do in that moment. So how do you prevent pregnancies at times that you can get pregnant? So very good question. So you have the fertile window, right? You're still going to have that time when pregnancy is possible. You will know clearly when it is. So it's not every day of the cycle. It's about, I would say about 1 week each cycle in general. And that's the time when, yeah, you do have to think about a backup plan. What's going to be my game plan here, right? If this is, I know this is where I can get pregnant. What do I do if I can get pregnant now? And again, all these questions are, halachically, you go to your own rav. It's not my department to take, to answer these questions, but we do go over the scientific, the practical options in the course. There's a whole lesson on fertile window options, what you do in the fertile window, and this is why we give it a 3 month. It takes an average of 3 months to establish this practice for two reasons. First of all, because you're learning a new skill. You're coming into a whole new relationship with your body. Likely you've never done something like this before. And you want to be very confident. So it takes about 3 months, 3 cycles, because every cycle that you track, every ovulation that you confirm is another, I call it another deposit into your confidence box. Like, oh, I see it's actually working. I did it. I see I ovulated. I was able to see it on my chart. I was able to catch it. And it just really makes you more confident in this. And then you do it again another time. So by 3 times, like call it a chazaka, call it whatever you want, it actually builds the confidence in you and you're able to really see clearly, this is what I'm doing. It actually works. I see it happening in my body. I see this and I see my period came 2 weeks later and right, like everything adds up. So giving it 3 months is the average time that we say to establish this practice for yourself, to build your confidence. And it's also very personal, right? You might feel ready to go after 3 months. Okay, I'm confident. I know that I can do this and I'm ready to rely on this for birth control, right? And use my backup in the fertile window. But then afterwards, I feel confident, ready to go and protected. Or you might not be ready then yet. And we're here to support your unique process, right? Some people need more time. And the way Embodied was designed is to support your process. So first you have the 3 months that we're here for you every step of the way. We're all charting together. And if you're not ready to chart yet, it's okay, right? We had people who joined last year and they only started tracking like 4 or 5 months after the course, but they already had learned everything, right? They followed the material, they followed the questions people sent in, they were able to integrate it and let it sit and let it settle. And then they were ready and they had the resources. They had the group for support. They were able to check in and we were able to tell them, had simple steps to get started. And here's like we were there for them. So you're not just joining a course, you're joining a lifetime community of support, of sisterhood, that we're all here for you, we're all in this together. And we see you. We've been there, right? In the beginning, it can be like like any new thing, right? You're getting used to it, but you have the container of support with you. And then it takes you, like the way you start is how you carry this into the rest of your life as well. I'm pregnant, Baruch Hashem. Does it make sense to take this course if I'm not able to track my cycles in the next few months? Yes, because first of all, did I mention you have a lifetime membership? It means if you join now, you come back every year free. And this is a beautiful time to learn it because you're taking in information, right? So most of you will be learning it, okay, as I'm learning it, I'm tracking, and I have the 3 months, my first 3 months of tracking, I have the support of the group, of the support of the course, and we're going through this together. Some of you will be in a place like you where you're not tracking right now. You don't need this right now, but you're already learning the foundation, which is actually a beautiful place to learn, right? Because yes, if you need it now, then learn it now. If you didn't have it yesterday, the next best time is today, right? But if you are in the preventative place of like I'm preparing for the future, that's beautiful. That means you're going to learn it in a different place completely. You won't have the pressure of applying it right now. You'll have it in your hair, you'll have it now. You'll be postpartum, you have to check in with a group. You can also there's also one-on-one options that you can do with either myself or with Penina. Penina is another FAM instructor that we have in the Embodied course who offers one-on-one support as well. So you can always have those resources available to you, have those options all the time. But then next year, when you come back, you'll have already started tracking a few cycles postpartum, and you'll come at it from a whole new perspective. Like, okay, now I'm really applying it. Now it's not the first time I'm learning the information. I don't have to like completely be overwhelmed. I learned it already. I'm here and I can learn it again from a whole new place. So it's like, imagine you're taking college classes and you get a free refresher course every year, right? Like people pay for refresher courses all the time and you get that for free. I really believe once you're in, you invest in yourself once, you have this knowledge, you're here and you have it with you. And the sisterhood is so beautiful. The community support is so beautiful because everyone who's been here for a few years already and has been through this process, they're so excited to welcome in the newcomers because every time someone shares, I feel overwhelmed. I don't know like if I'm doing this correctly. And you have 10 people telling you, I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it does get easier. Like, don't you feel reassured by that? Right? Like we're really in this together. How does this work with medical conditions? Like, for example, endometriosis causes very painful periods. Exactly. So there are some, intense medical conditions that sometimes require different kinds of treatments. And this is not a medical treatment, right? This is an awareness of your body to know where you're adding a cycle, which can be very helpful in different ways, just to know where you're adding a cycle. Now, if you know that maybe you've tried different natural approaches, you've tried supporting your body in different ways, and a medical approach, a birth control, whatever it is, gives you the most relief. I'm not here to tell you go be a martyr and be in pain if that's the best support you found, right? Endometriosis is a very unfortunate, very painful condition because they don't really have a perfect cure. So it's more about finding what supports you best. Now, can this be an ideal support for some people? Absolutely. You have to know this is right for you, right? It's the presence of the embodiment of being able to work through the emotional layers of what this brings up for you, having different kind of support, like nutrition wise, lifestyle wise, right? There are different approaches to this. So again, this course doesn't give individualized support. It's more of a general, like hormonal health, cyclical health, embodying your cycle, learning the fertility awareness method, all the stuff we should all know as women that we should have all been taught. And then there are ways to take it further with more individualized support, or I have resources that you can, and again, there's always the Q&A calls always can go in the direction that you want it to go, for example. So here's the structure of the course. So we have the pre-recorded modules. So every week a new module is released, and I kept it so simple. I really want it to be very approachable and digestible. So the video lessons are between 5 and 20 minutes long. It's not long lectures. And it's divided by topic. So you have one video, let's say, on basal body temperature. How do you take the temperature? So if you want to go back later and say, I just want to review, how do I take my temperature properly? Just go to that video. You have a whole library of information available to you. And each week we drop about 5 videos. So you have about an hour and a half of content every week, and you go at your own pace. The content will be open even after the course is complete. I'm not sure exactly like how long will be open, but definitely a few months after the course is complete, you'll still have access to the content and be able to catch up. The Q&A calls are where the discussion happens. So more personalized things that come up, different questions, different like situations. How do I apply it like this? How do I apply it like that? Like postpartum and again, we have a whole module on postpartum, but if you have a specific question or like you said, a specific condition, right? Like different things that come up, you can bring it to the call. We can have different, and you can share, a little bit more details if it would be helpful, like in your specific situation, what you've tried in the past, different things. So again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional. I can't give you medical assistance, and you should absolutely go get medical support for things that need medical support, right? This doesn't replace that. But if you want the support of the embodiment, the cycle, what it really is here to offer you, that is where we have the deeper discussions. That's why I love the Q&A calls, because we go on so many different tangents based on what you're asking for. It's really specific to what you're bringing into the space. Can I be on hormonal birth control till I master this method? So you can be on hormonal birth control and learn this method, right? So you can stay on it. You don't have to. It's not a rush. You go in your own process when you're ready to go off. But you won't be able to actually track your cycle on hormonal birth control because the birth control shuts down your natural rhythm. So you won't see patterns of cervical fluid. I mean, you might see different stuff, but it's not telling you an exact cyclical of this is ovulation, this is, here's where you can expect your period. It's not like that at all. So it does suppress your natural cycle, but you can come in and learn about it. If you're in a place where like, I know I want to do this. This sounds exactly like what I'm looking for. I'm just not ready yet. I can't get over birth control yet. That's where I was in the beginning, by the way. You think I got over birth control the first second I found this? Absolutely not. It took me a while to be ready, but I was open, I was learning, and I really understand coming from that place. That's why I give you lifetime membership. Come in, learn about it, and go at your own pace. Go at your own pace when you're ready for it. We're here to support you through that process. So learn about it, see what you like, integrate it, and then when you're ready, you'll feel fully supported. You'll know exactly what you're doing. You'll have a plan. You won't just feel like you're just diving into the deep end without any support. You have the actual tools that you need. When you're bleeding because you put in an IUD, what part of the cycle is that? Can you track a cycle with IUD? Is IUD fully natural hormones? Okay, yeah, IUD is the perfect next question for this. So there's a hormonal IUD and there's a copper IUD. Hormonal IUD is similar to hormonal birth control. I mean, it's different, but a similar idea that you're not really seeing your natural cycle in the same way. So again, you can learn about it, see what's, see how ready, when you feel ready, and then you'll have a clear game plan going forward. The copper IUD, on the other hand, is different. So the copper IUD, you can track your natural cycle because it's not shutting down your natural cycle. So many people have kept the copper IUD in, learned how to track their cycle, and then celebrated with us when they were ready to take out the IUD and already had like months and months of practice with tracking their cycle and felt so confident, and they knew exactly what they're doing. They knew what their cycle is telling them. They knew when they're ovulating, how to track ovulation, how to feel confident, and they were ready to come off. So the copper IUD is very unique in the sense that you don't have to take it out to start tracking. You can track your cycle and still have the backup. So you're not worrying about a backup as you learn. Right, in general, we want to have a backup plan in the first 3 months as you're learning this practice. What are my options Meanwhile, while I learn the method, if I'm not relying on it yet for 3 months, right? So there are different options. Again, I don't, uh, I don't tell you which option is right for you. You have to figure out yourself what, halachically and lifestyle wise and what makes sense for you. We do go over the options in module uh, 3 or 4, I believe. I have to double check. So yeah, basically it's all the non-hormonal options, right? Like the on-demand use, like let's say diaphragm, Phexxi, spermicide, some are more effective, some are not. I'm not going to go through all the options right now here because it is more a nuanced conversation, which is why we discussed it in the course. But yeah, you will need something in those first 3 months while you're learning, and you'll be super confident and you'll know exactly when you're ready to rely on it. So is it better to be off the ID if it's anyway natural? So why is it better to be over the ID? Because not hormonal doesn't mean that it's not harming you in different ways. It's not hormonal. So you still have your regular hormonal cycle, but the copper ID is inflammatory. It's inflaming your uterus. There are so many different things happening. I mean, people have painful, heavy periods on the copper ID. There are so many different things that, again, I'm not here to like fear monger anything or tell people birth control is bad. Like there are different things that work for different people. But yeah, many people do want to be off the copper IED, so they would come to this, learn the method, learn this approach, and then when they're ready, they'll be able to take it off. So nothing is like nothing is a rash decision here, right? Nothing is about like I'm just ripping off the band-aid, I'm just going over birth control, I'm just taking out the IED. No, I'm very rational. I know my plan, I know what I'm planning for, and I'm learning a responsible, organized way to hold myself through it. And this method really, really does that. It really holds you through it. And now that we spoke about the method, let me just tell you more about the way Embodied holds that. And I started telling you a little bit how the masculine versus feminine approaches, right? How it can be very overwhelming when we approach it as like a to-do list or a checklist or yeah, something that you feel unsupported. It's something that's any new skill you learn in life. You want to have the support of a sister holding you, especially something as sensitive as this, especially when it's touching on such deep, sensitive parts inside of ourselves. And it also makes it easier. Like it's not just a nice, fluffy way to learn FAM. It actually makes it more effective because when you're embodied, when you're connected with yourself, when you're in the flow, it becomes second nature. You're combining the knowledge, the intellectual parts, with the intuitive connection to your body, right? The chachma and the bina, I always say this, you're combining it to give you the ultimate knowing of yourself, the ultimate connection, the ultimate fertility awareness, the ultimate confidence. That's really what it is. I'm just going to see, I see more questions coming in. How does abstaining during ovulation, when trying to avoid pregnancy, honor your body's natural desire at that time? It doesn't. I know. The reality of birth control, of preventing pregnancy, is that we're going against our body's natural design, right? And we can hold both. We can hold both. The Torah does give time and space with the right guidance that sometimes there is a time and place for that. So your body always wants to get pregnant. Yeah, that's the way that the cycle is designed. It wants to get you pregnant. But you're not going against it in terms of pushing it down with hormones or fighting your body, right? You are still moving with the flow. You're letting your body have its natural rhythm. You're letting yourself ovulate. You're just taking different steps, different actions. You're preventing it in a natural way that doesn't actually obstruct your natural rhythm. How relevant is this if I'm currently single? You can learn it. You can learn it and have it for life. It's never too early to learn this material. Someone also asked, how is ovulation early? No, if ovulation only happens once per cycle, how do we conceive twins? So ovulation is an episode. It's a event that happens in our body once a month. It's a once a month event. So meaning once you ovulated, you are in the clear. If you can confirm ovulation correctly, according to the rules that we're going to learn, fertility awareness, you're not ovulating again until the next cycle. That means you're not fertile again until the next cycle. So you have those, however many days it is until your next period, that you're not fertile. There's no risk for pregnancy. Pregnancy is only possible in the fertile window. Now, how are twins conceived? Because in that episode, first of all, one egg can be split in two. That's how identical twins are conceived, right? So it's still the one egg, the one ovulation. But there are also fraternal twins that come from two eggs, but they're released within the same window. So one egg is released, so we start ovulation. An egg usually lives in our body for 12 to 24 hours. So if it would be only about the egg, we would only be fertile for about one day. but it's also about the sperm. The sperm can live in our body for up to 5 days when there's cervical fluid present, which is why we're tracking cervical fluid. And that's why our fertile window is about a week. But in those 12 to 24 hours that the egg is released, there's also a possibility of another egg being released. So that's how fraternal twins are conceived. But once the window is closed, so 12 to 24 hours, that's when the egg is released, the possibility of another egg being released in that window, and then bye, the egg is gone. After 12 to 24 hours, it disappears, it disintegrates back into our bloodstream, unless it's fertilized, right? So that's the one episode of ovulation we have. It's important to keep track of basal body temperature. Yes and no. So there is a way to do fertility awareness just by cervical fluid alone. And that's really, the cervical fluid is really the key sign. When we're talking about embodiment, we're talking about an embodied signal of fertility is your cervical fluid, because that's literally coming from your body. Temperature is also happening in your body, but you're tracking with a device, with a thermometer, to get a number to see what's going on, right? Which is also from your body, and it's also very accurate and very helpful. And it is helpful. It is better to have these two signs working together, because again, you get more confidence, you have the backup, you see, oh, I saw my cervical fluid patterns and now I see my temperature and it's actually lining up. It's giving me more reassurance here. But if it's too much pressure to start with that, start by noticing your cervical fluid. Postpartum, when you're tracking your cycle and when you're tracking fertility and you're not having a cycle yet, you might not even need temperature yet, because you're first trying to see, when is my fertility coming back? Cervical fluid comes first, right? Cervical fluid is telling you that you're about to ovulate. Ovulation comes before menstruation. So first you'll have, that's why people can get pregnant while nursing before ever getting a period. So the ovulation, the cervical fluid starts first. And postpartum, we sometimes have a transition period where, again, if you might have gone months and months and months of being completely dry and not having any signs of fertility, no cycle, no nothing, and there might be a transition of, it might take a few weeks to like build up your fertile signs. You might see cervical fluid, and that's the trickiest part. And we talk about all that. We talk about how to navigate these different stages of postpartum as well. And then that's where it might suggest, when you start seeing cervical fluid, maybe start doing temperature as well, so you can actually confirm when you ovulated. Because cervical fluid doesn't confirm ovulation the same way that temperature does. Cervical fluid tells us that we're about to ovulate, just like a ovulation test, but more accurate because it's from our body. Ovulation tests are not always accurate. An ovulation test also doesn't confirm that you ovulate. It tells you that your body is trying to ovulate. It doesn't tell you if it actually worked. So our body might be trying to ovulate, and then how do we know it actually happened? Because sometimes our body just holds back. Wait, I don't know if your environment is safe now to ovulate. Maybe you traveled. Maybe there was like something big going on that's just making your body pause. So the building up to ovulation is a great sign to track, but then we also want to see that it actually followed through. And the temperature is the one way it tracks. Why? Because the temperature is what tells us that we have progesterone in our body. Progesterone is the hormone that we only make when we ovulate. Progesterone is a super important hormone that we don't have if we don't ovulate. So if you don't ovulate, you don't have progesterone in your body. This is the way progesterone warms up the body. That's one of the things it does, because progesterone is pro-gestation. The job of progesterone, in terms of, like we said, the cycle wants to support pregnancy, is if that egg was fertilized and conception maybe occurred, the progesterone wants to kick into action to support and create the safe environment for a baby to grow. So one of the things it does is it warms up the body. So when we see our temperature going up, we know there's progesterone in the body. And there's specific rules to know how to take your temperature properly, to know, oh, it's actually progesterone. It's not because I, ate breakfast or did a workout, right? Those things can also impact our temperature. But we're taking it first thing in the morning before we get out of bed, because we track that this is actually only progesterone, nothing else affected it. But yeah, we talk about temperature, different ways to navigate it. This course is designed as a lifestyle, right? It's not just a method that I'm teaching you, here's the do's and don'ts. It's how do we actually work this in our life, right? How do we make it work practically? Different tips, different tools, different ideas. Like, we talk about this, we work through different things. How do we make it work for you? Because this is meant to work for you in your lifestyle, in your situation. And we go through the different options. That's why we have the Q&A calls, to work through things more. And even in the lectures themselves, I offer different ideas, different tips. And in the WhatsApp group, like, people will share different things that worked for them. So this is really about making it work for you, to decrease the pressure, to decrease the stress, to make it easeful, to make it aligned, to make it embodied, right? To really be in that flow of your cycle, and that flow with your rhythm. So that is embodied, and that is the fertility awareness method. And there's really so much more to say. I'm trying to think if there's something that I wanted to say that, I'm just going to close with the basic structure. So I told you like the soul of embodied, like what the bigger process that we're actually supporting here, right? The real life process. Then there's the actual structure that I started telling you about, the container, how this is held, right? So we try doing this in shorter, like we tried this as a 4-week course. It was very condensed, right? I know people take like quick workshops and like small different courses and whatever it is that are just very quick, very like to the point, just tell me everything. I just want to know the method. And they come out feeling confused and overwhelmed and not confident at all because it's not giving space for integration. It's not giving space for the deeper questions, things that come up 2 weeks in, 4 weeks in, 6 weeks in, 2 months in, right? Because it's a real life practice and we're here to support you through that process. So building that and seeing, okay, so there's actually space for integration. We have 3 modules dropped every month. So we start this Wednesday, by the way. For our first welcome call is this Wednesday. And we drop a first module 1 is going to drop on Thursday. And you'll be able to watch the first module, the first batch of videos. And already there in the first module, it's the introduction to fertility awareness. You already get tips on how to get started. So I want to start basic, and I give you like really small, tiny baby steps that you can start taking. It doesn't have to, you don't have to know the whole method yet just to get started. So I get you started so that you can come through this 3-month process with us. And again, yeah, if you're on birth control and you're pregnant or this or that and you're not tracking now, that's fine, right? You're still learning the material, you're still learning the process. But if you are tracking with us and wanting to get the support through the practice, then you can already get started right away. Then we have the second module I said is going to be wait, there was something else I wanted to say though. Why did I start? Okay, sometimes I get distracted. If it comes to me again, I'll share that. But then we have the second module, the second week is the getting to know our body, like I said before, in a whole new way. People have been coming out of this module with like, I learned everything already in, biology class, anatomy, physiology, all those things. And I never learned it this way because it literally becomes embodied within you. So even that alone, like coming home to your body in a whole new way, like that alone is like, wow, worth a whole course. Then from that place, we come into the actual method, tracking cervical fluid, tracking basal body temperature. And just to give you context of how important basal body temperature is compared to cervical fluid, we have like 5 videos and basal body temperature is 1 video because cervical fluid has different steps, and I want you to be super clear on it because it's an embodied skill. It's a skill that takes you through life in so many different ways and helps you connect to your cycle in a whole new way. Then we have 3 modules every month, and then we have a 1 week for integration because you need a process. You need to let it sit, and some of you will want to catch up, right? So it's not a race. It's not a marathon. That's masculine. We're being gentle and soft and learning this in the embodied way. So we have 3 modules every month, and then we have 1 week for integration. And then again, the next month, we have 3 modules and a week for integration. So in the second month, we're going to learn how to use this method for birth control, how to use this method for postpartum, I think is the 3rd month. And there's how to use this method for conceiving if you wanted to get pregnant now. There was another one in the 2nd month that I don't remember. I should really just pull up you could see everything on the website, but let me just put the link here so you can also check out while we're talking. You can also check it out. So that's the 2nd month. Wait, what was the other thing? Learning how to use it for practice. Okay, this is really important. Again, you're not just learning information, you're going to apply it, and we're going to support you in applying it. We have tons of sample charts and sample real life experience, how this works postpartum, how this works with PCOS, how this works with irregular cycles, with short cycles, with trying to conceive, with trying to avoid pregnancy. So there's like two things that people approach this method with. It's like either TTA, trying to avoid, TTC, trying to conceive, which again, I prefer the opening to conceive, but okay. And there's like TTW, I guess, or neutral, like trying to whatever. I don't know how you want to call it. And there's an intention scale between that, with 0 being TTC, like can't risk getting pregnant, and 10 being I want to get pregnant yesterday. And then some people are somewhere in the middle, right? Like we think it's so black and white, like either I want to get pregnant or I don't. Maybe you want to get pregnant in 3 or 4 months from now, and you want to just get to know your body, but you don't want to get pregnant just yet. So you might be like a 3 or a 4. And the way you practice this method might be very different than someone who absolutely cannot take any risks, right? So you have the knowledge. I teach you everything to practice this perfectly. And you ultimately have the authority. It's your body, it's your practice to practice in the way that feels aligned with your where you're at, what your intentions are, right? What risks you are able to take or not. You get all the knowledge and information to make aligned choices, to make wise choices, to make choices that fit for you in your life. Someone's asking, aren't non-hormonal birth controls not effective? That's a myth. That is a myth. It really is where you're putting your trust in. Are you trusting the statistics of a pill or an IUD because they don't have to trust you to make it work properly, right? It's easier for them to just say, okay, IUD is 99% effective, and doesn't matter if you're a responsible person, if you're a conscious person, if you're, if you remember things or not, it's going to work for you, right? So you're trusting a device, which also fails. No birth control is 100% effective, right? Plenty of people get pregnant on IUD, plenty of people get pregnant on pills. The tracking your cycle with FAM is up to 99.6% effective when done correctly. That is comparable with IUDs. That is comparable. That's sometimes even higher than a pill. Now, could be you're asking about the backup options, right? In the fertile window, where you use a non-hormonal backup option like a diaphragm or a spermicide or a Phexxi. So yes, spermicide and Phexxi for sure are less effective. That's why you have to know what is your intention scale here, right? What are you able? Yeah, the backups. Okay, right. So what are you able to tolerate right now? Like what makes sense for you right now? So you make that decision for yourself. We think effectiveness is the only decision in birth control. You have to make a decision based on all different factors. Like if it's worth it for me to go crazy on a pill that's driving me crazy, but I want to rely on that because I don't want to take a risk on a Phexxi or a spermicide, and my gyne doesn't let me use a diaphragm, let's say, right? Whatever it is, right? Everyone has differentiators around that. So maybe that's a better decision for you. Or you might say, no, I am not going to go crazy every month. I want to be on my own cycle. I want to be normal and live this life and use proper protection, whatever I have available to me, and trust that to Hashem, a 1% failure rate and a 9% failure rate does not make any difference at all. He's the one that decides if I'm going to be in the 91% or 82% or 99% or the other way around, right? So again, this is a bigger conversation, right? Nobody else can tell you what is right for you because this is already going into faith and on what you're able to hold in your life. And that's not again, I hold that, and I'm also here to give you the most responsible, effective options, right? So it's not about like, oh, just trust the process, trust Hashem. I believe that very strongly, but also we have to do our part and show up responsibly, and I teach you that. So the backups, there are different options. Even with diaphragm, there are ways that it's also a user-dependent method. So there are ways that it's more effective, ways that are less effective, depending on your practitioner you go to get fitted by, and how well you know how to use it, right? Any user, that's the difference between a user-dependent method. That's what it's getting at. What are you relying on? The statistic of a pill or device that doesn't have to, that you're like, oh, I don't want to be responsible for anything. So if I get pregnant IUD, like, okay, fine, nothing's 100% effective, but like, I don't feel guilty about it. I might be in a very difficult position, but like, it happens, right? Or if I'm relying on a diaphragm and a FAM, which can be very effective when done correctly, but it's user dependent. So all of a sudden I feel like, it's on me and I'll mess up. And if that happens, like, I'm not going to forgive myself. You have to know what you're available for and what you're able to be responsible for, and also that ultimately Hashem is in control all the time. So it's always that balance of, okay, what is the price I'm paying? Do I believe that I need to suffer on hormones for the hashtalas that I need to do? Or do I believe that, no, I deserve a different kind of life right now, and I'm going to do my best, my part, and it works very well. People are doing this for years and years without getting pregnant, and people are getting pregnant on IUDs also. People are getting pregnant on, you know what? And you're right, to speak to your question about the backups, I've never had a FAM failure yet with anyone who learned FAM with me. So meaning it wasn't about not tracking correctly and not knowing your fertile window correctly. That you really get down pat. You learn it so well with me, and it's very effective. The failures that we did have, and we only had 2 from over 100 people that I worked with, which matches the statistics of the bigger, right? Like, think about 98, 99% effective. And they were with the backup options. And one was Phexxi, which we know is not so effective, right? And we work through it. I'm really here to support the full process, which when you're an IUD or a pill or going to just getting a prescription, you're kind of on your own. So because we're doing FAM, it's a more personalized process. It's taking you to different stages of life. You have the support through everything. And of course, we don't want that to happen, right? That's not the intention is for this to be the most effective, natural option for you. And you get all the tools to make that possible. And then ultimately it's your choice and what you're able to choose right now in your life. That clarifies. All right, so I think we covered the logistics, the structure, how this supports the process, what FAM is, how embodied FAM is different than the masculine way of learning FAM that is out there. This is very supportive, really holds space for the process so that it's not overwhelming, not stressful. You get so much out of it, and you get a tool for life. You get a skill for life that supports you in so many different areas of your life, and you get to come back in all the different stages. You might be now pregnant, next year postpartum, the next year cycling, the next year trying to conceive, right? Whatever it is, you have all the information here for you to support you in your stage of life. So with that, I will end off. You can see all the pricing on the website, reclaimwomanhood.com/embodied. I listed it here. There are 3 package options. I'll end off with this. There's the regular embodied course, and there are payment plans available as well. You can click on the link and you'll see an option for pay in full or the payment plan. There's the regular embodied course that you get access to the full course, come back every year again free, have the material, the content, plus the Q&A calls that we have, and you get to submit questions anonymously as well, so don't worry about that. Plus, we have ongoing charting circles. So again, you're not just joining a 3-month course. I'm really here to support you every step of the way. Like, I wanted to fully give an experience where women can know they're never alone in this. They have all the support and resources they need. So we do every couple months, even after the course is complete. We do this a few times a year. We do a charting circle on Zoom that's open to embodied members for free as a resource, where I come on and you come on and you share your charts. And it's not recorded because it's a very private, safe container. So only whoever comes on to share their charts gets to learn from each other, and you get my direct feedback. So it's kind of like you're having a session with me, but we're all in this together. We're learning together. We're supporting each other, and we're learning from each other's charts as well. So it's real life support that you get that is not available outside of the course. You only get it in embodied, but you have it throughout the whole time. Like after, let's say you said you might start tracking in 5 months from now, but you learned the material, and then you get to come on and share your chart as well. There's also a WhatsApp group where everyone is having such beautiful discussions and conversations and this is transforming your life. Like again, it's hard for me to explain it, but when you are embodied with your cycle, connected to your rhythm, things change in your life because you're in the flow, you're in the feminine, right? Your marriage will change, your parenting will change, your way of moving in the world, your thriving, like things will become so different. So there's a lot of support there on the group as well. And then if you're the type of person, like I really think I need one-on-one, then we have the VIP packages. And again, like I said, Panina is here, available here as well. So you can either do a package with Panina, which is called Embodied Premium, or you can do a package with me, which is called Embodied Luxe. And you have the 3 options, either the regular Embodied, and I guess you can decide later if you want to upgrade, but this is, we don't know if things will go up in the future. This is what's available now as a bundle rate. So you have the option to work with Panina, the option to work with me, and then we'll give you that one-on-one support as you go through the course process as well. So you get that personalized feedback as well. So there's something for everyone, whether you're a person who can, figure things out and have the group support, and we're here for you every step of the way, whether you need more of that one-on-one support and handholding, there's something for you. And I can't wait to see you inside. And I am looking forward. I see there are no more questions now, so I will end. It's been such a pleasure sharing this space with you, and I'm looking forward to see you in Embodied.